Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the ever merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise is due to Allah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafi anbiya'illahi Sayyid al-Mursaleen. May Allah raise the rank of and grant peace to the most honored of all prophets of Allah, the chief of the messengers, Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. And likewise all of his family and companions. Amma ba'd. This evening of the 21st of Jumada al-Akhirah in the year 1440, we start our 14th lesson in our study of Al-Muqaddimah al-Ajrumiyyah by the Imam of Al-Nahu Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Dawood al-Sinhaji rahimahullah ta'ala, the one who died in the year 723. Hard to forget that one. We have just finished our discussion of the 4 different signs of a word being marfu'. And that was after those 4 were introduced in lesson 9. Review with me real quick here. Babu ma'rifati alamat al-i'rab. Lesson 9, the section on knowing about the signs of i'rab, the signs of cases. When you say it's marfu', what shows you it's marfu'? What's the alama? Like that. And so he says, لِلرَّفْعِ أربع علامات. For a marfu' case, there are 4 signs. الضمة والواو والألف والنون. They are dhamma, waw, alif, and noon. Those 4 harakas and or letters, those are the 4 signs of something being marfu'. Meaning now that we've studied all 4 of them, you can never say something is marfu'. وعلامة رفعه. And the sign of it being marfu' is other than one of these 4 things. It has to be one of these only. That's all you have. You can never say then, alamatu raf'ihi al-fatha. You can never say, alamatu raf'ihi al-ya. You can never say, alamatu raf'ihi at-ta' as-sakina or something like that. You can never say any of that. You can only say either a dhamma or a waw or an alif or a noon. That's going to be your sign for being marfu'. Lesson 10 was that the dhamma is the sign of something being marfu' in single nouns, plural nouns that are taksir, irregular plurals, regular plurals, jamu mu'annath salam, regular feminine plurals. الفعل المضارع الذي لم يتصل بآخره شيء as well. The present tense verb that doesn't have anything connected to the back end of it. We gave examples of that. Give me one example of a dhamma being alamatul raf in any of these cases, Jibreel. Al-kitabu. Hada al-kitabu. For example, al-kitabu. There it is. Al-kitab is ismun marfu'un alamatu raf'ihi al-dhammatu al-dhahiratu. Tayyib. Then lesson 11 was about the waw. And when the waw is a sign of something being marfu'. And we learned that that was in 2 cases. Either jam' mudhakkar salim, the masculine regular plural, like what? Siddiq. A jam' mudhakkar salim, like? Give me a noun that's a regular plural for masculine. Siddiqun. A siddiqun. All of the people who are siddiq, devoutly truthful and believing. Tayyib, as-siddiqun. And Allah Ta'ala has mentioned as-siddiqina wa shuhada and so on. It's the Siddiqeen. That's with the, not a marfu'a case, but a Siddiqun is marfu'a. Give me the i'rab of a Siddiqun. Say, ha'ula'i Siddiqun. Those people are Siddiqun. A'rib Siddiqun. Siddiqun is an ism. Is it marfu'a, Mansoob, majroor? It's marfu'a because you put a waw. You didn't say Siddiqeen. طيب. وعلامة raf'ihi. What's the sign of it being marfu'? You just mentioned it. It's the waw. Ahsant. Al-waw. Very good. Barakallahu feekum. That's the waw. And the waw is in jam' mudhakkar salim and in al-asma' al-khamsa. Like hada abuk. Hada abuk. Wa hada akhuk. A'rib akhuk ya sultan. Hada akhuk. A'ribhu. Akhuk. Ismun. مرفوع الواو. Nice. علامة رفعه الواو. اسم مرفوع علامة رفعه الواو. لأنه من الأسماء الخمسة. Because in this case it's because of its being from these 5 special nouns. Then in lesson 12, وَأَمَّا الْأَلِفُ فَتَكُونُ عَلَامَةً لِلرَّفْعِ فِي تَثْنِيَةِ الْأَسْمَاءِ خَاصَّةً. Then the alif is only in one occasion, a sign for something being marfu'. That's in the muthanna nouns, dual plural nouns. Give me an example, Abdul Samad, a dual plural noun. Hanif. Rajulani. Put that out. Remember the alif is the sign of it being marfu'. We got to see an alif somewhere. It's rajulani. Yeah, and the noon is not the sign of it being marfu' in this case. But the alif and the noon come together. The alif is the sign. The reason why we say the alif is the sign and not the noon is because when we make it mansoob, it's going to be rajulaini. The noon remains, but the alif is gone. The sign of marfu' is gone. We're going to see that today, insha'Allah ta'ala. That's lesson 12. Lesson 13, our last lesson that we studied, was the statement of the author, وَأَمَّا النُّونُ فَتَكُونُ عَلَامَةً لِلرَّفْعِ فِي الْفِعْلِ الْمُضَارِعِ إِذَا اتصل بِهِ. And then he mentions 3 things here. Noon is a sign of a word being marfu' only in fi'l mudari', present tense verbs. That's it, but in 3 kinds. And these 3 kinds stretch out to become 5 examples. They're called the amthila khamsa, al-amthilatul khamsa, or al-af'al al-khamsa, or the 5 verbs. And they are summarized by the author, إِذَا اتصل بِهِ ضَمِيرُ تَثْنِيَةٍ. When there is a damir of tathniya, damir of something being muthanna. What does that mean? A dual plural pronoun on a fi'l mudari', on a present tense verb. So what do you think about this? Yadribuhuma. There's a present tense verb, and there's a pronoun for ithnain. Yadribuhuma. Is that not a pronoun? It is. That's called damir or nasb. That's the pronoun that indicates that's the object of the darb. We want damir rafa'. We want the damir of the fa'il. We want an alif that represents the one who does the fi'il. So yadribu, one person does the yadribu. How do you make it 2 people doing the yadrib? Yadribani. Naam. So then yadribani is from af'al khamsa. And then if I want to talk to 2 people and tell them that they're hitting someone, tadribani. So both of those are alif al-ithnain, alif al-tathniya, damir al-tathniya, the alif that's in there. Yadribani and tadribani. So right away we've got 2 out of the 5 words that are al-af'al al-khamsa. Then, aw damiru jam'in. Just like the ani, we have to add a different pronoun at the end that indicates they're the ones who do that verb. So 3 or more, we say yadribuna. Or if I want to talk directly to them, tadribuna antum. Tadribuna. So we have yadribuna and tadribuna. And this is generic. Whatever verb you bring, it has the same idea. So if we're saying darb, that's one thing. Yadribani, tadribani, yadribuna, tadribuna. If we say shurb, drinking, Yashribani, tashribani. That should be yashrabani with a fatha on the ra. Yashrabani, tashrabani, yashrabuna, tashrabuna. Other quick examples like al-julus, yajlisani, tajlisani, yajlisuna, tajlisuna. Another verb like al-qu'ud, sitting. Another word that means sitting like julus. يقعدان تقعدان يقعدون تقعدون, and so on. Now we got one left. The author says, أو ضمير المؤنثة المخاطبة, or the damir of the female that you're talking to directly, right? And what's that an example of with the darb? Anti, what are you doing? Anti tadribina. And so that noon, the noon being there in all of these verbs, is a sign that it's marfu'a. That means when it's not marfu'a, we say len yadriba, we take off the noon. Len tadriba, we take off the noon. Len yadribu, not yadribuna. Len yadribu, lam yadribu, and len tadribu, not tadribuna, but tadribu, like that. And for the woman, we say anti lam tadribi Just take off the noon. Leave the whole ya there. تضربي. And leave off the noon. Take off the noon. The noon is a sign of it being marfu'a. If the word is not marfu'a, it can't have a noon in these 5 verbs. That was our last lesson. And now we look at lesson 14. Lesson 14 is a doormat lesson. What I mean by that is, it welcomes you to a new door. You stand on this and you're at the door. And you're not going inside just yet. You're just going to stand on the doormat. قال الإمام رحمه الله وللنصب خمس علامات. And nasb, the nasb case, a word being mansoob, has 5 signs. If a word is mansoob, it must have one of 5 signs. If a word is marfu', it must have one of 4 signs. That's just what we reviewed right now. Now, entering into a new topic, if a word is mansoob, whether it's a noun or a verb, whatever that word is, when it's mansoob, it must have one of 5 signs. And here they are in a list with no explanation just yet. They are al-fathatu wal-alifu wal-kasratu wal-ya'u wa hadhfu nun. That's all. Fatha, alif, kasra, ya, and taking away the noon. The removal of the noon. Now, these 5 things are going to connect a lot to what we've studied already. Because we gave a few examples from these ideas, but we said we'll leave that for later. Now we're going to go back and pick up all the times when we said if it's not marfu'a and we added something to change it, and we didn't really focus on what it becomes, now we're going to look at what it becomes. So let me introduce to you 4 nouns. Let's use 4 of these in nouns, and the last one is going to be for verbs. Similar to the alamat al-raf', as you'll see. Let's start with the sentence جاء الرجل. جاء الرجل. Now, who can make i'rab of the word الرجل? You want to do it for us, Jibreel? الرجل. اسم مفرد, you say it. مرفوع. اسم مفرد. الرجل, one guy. مرفوع. الضمة. Nice. The dhamma is a sign of it being marfu'a. Let's make it not marfu'a. Let's make it mansoob. And let's throw that generic idea in front of it. رأيت. جاء and رأيت. We'll switch from marfu' to mansoob when we use nouns like this. جاء الرجل. رأيت الرجل. لا, with a fatha on the lam. رأيت الرجل. رأيت الرجل. Who thinks they can make i'rab of the word الرجل? Go ahead, Hanif. الرجل. رأيت الرجل. Ismun mansoob. We're talking about mansoob now, remember? We're not talking about marfu' anymore. So now for the next 6 days, today included, we're going to be talking about ismun mansoob or fi'lun mudari'un mansoob, alamatu nasbihi. We're going to be using that language. We were very busy saying marfu' alamatu raf'ihi. Now we're going to switch to mansoob, alamatu nasbihi. Naam, go ahead. الفتحة الظاهرة على آخره. Nice. So رأيت الرجل. The word الرجل is not مرفوع. It's the object. I'm the one who did the seeing. I'm the one who did the looking and seeing. رأيت أنا. I'm the one who saw. And what did I see? What's the object of my view? It was الرجل. What did I see? رأيت الرجل. So he's now مفعول. As you go through Al-Ajrumiyyah, I'm going to be requesting you a lot to feel the case of marfu' versus feeling the case of mansoob. Even when you don't know if the word should be marfu' or mansoob, there's a feeling that comes with each case. Marfu' case has the feeling of being a central idea, the core of the sentence. It's the one who does the action. It's the most central figure. It's the mubtada and the khabar. It's the fa'il. It's the dominant role of a sentence. It's got a heavy place in the sentence when something's marfu'. When we go to mansoob, the feeling is secondary. Something had an action done by someone to it. It's now the recipient of the action, but there was an actor first mentioned usually. So now it's a maf'ul. Now it's It's an auxiliary, secondary type of meaning. Yeah, and that will help you if you can develop that intuition, that feeling that if a word is marfu', then it's heavy, it's significant, it's central, it's focused on in the sentence, and so on. If something is mansoob, it's not. It's now secondary. It's now something that is not such a high priority in the sentence, and so on. Not that it's something you can remove, but it's not like something marfu'. I can't really put it to words any better than that, except that you'll begin to feel. Sometimes you won't know the i'rab of a word, but you'll know it's not marfu', just because you know that can't be the central idea of the sentence. So you'll say it must be mansoob, or it must be majroor. I really don't know at this stage. Like that. You'll be able to use the intuition you now have from your feelings that this word is either very central or not very central to the meaning of the sentence. So we went from جاء الرجل, the man arrived, and that was marfu', to رأيت. We just changed the sentence a little bit to make it that the rajul is now the one who's being looked at. جاء الرجل رأيت الرجل. So then الرجل is mansoob. Notice we have 5 signs. The first one is a fatha. That's your example of a fatha today as a sign of something being mansoob. And that's as far as I want to go with the fatha. Because look at lesson 15. It says, فَأَمَّا الْفَتْحَةُ فَتَكُونُ عَلَامَةً لِلنَّصْبِ فِي ثَلَاثَةِ مَوَاضِعٍ فِي الْإِسْمِ الْمُفْرَدِ. And it goes on, right? So we're going to focus heavily on the fatha with a special lesson just for the fatha. So today all I want to let you know is there are words that exist that are mansoob, and the sign of it being mansoob is the fatha. That's all we want to know today, that is a thing. Later on, we'll see exactly how many different types there are, and we'll categorize that. But for now, that is a thing. There is a word that has a fatha on it, and it's mansoob, and that fatha is the sign of it being mansoob. That same word, if you see it with a dhamma or something else, it's not mansoob. That's our point for today. Then the second one is the alif. We looked at the fatha, gave a quick example. Now let's look at the alif. Ja'a abuk. Let's think about that sentence. Ja'a abuk. The word abuk is from those special nouns, right? They're called al-asma'ul khamsa. Ibrahim, can you make i'rab of abuk? Ja'a abuk. Ismun marfu'. Nice, yeah. وَعَلَامَةُ رَفْعِهِ الْوَاوِ. Very good. Allahumma barik. So then I want to change it now. I want to put ra'aytu in front of it. What do you think it's going to become? Ra'aytu? Abak. Now abuk becomes abak with an alif. That's our second sign. Our second sign of something being mansoob is the alif. And so you now know right now, as a heads up, that's for al-asma' al-khamsa. Is it only for asma' al-khamsa? We'll figure it out later. But right now, in al-asma' al-khamsa, you know that it's ja'a abuk, ra'aytu, abak. Abak. Ja'a Abu Hurairah, ra'aytu, Aba Hurairah. Like that. Ja'a Abu Hurairah, marfu'. Ra'aytu, Aba Hurairah. I saw Aba Hurairah, mansoob. So some words will be mansoob, and the sign of them being mansoob is the alif, as you've seen now, an example of it. Let's get another noun for the third sign. And the third sign is a kesra. Right away, it seems strange, doesn't it? That a kesra will be a sign of something being mansoob. Well, the fatha makes sense. And then the alif with the fatha makes sense. Like the dhamma and the waw, they go together. Now we have a fatha and an alif. They seem to be the same kind of a sound. Either a short a or a long a sound. But now a kesra sounds strange, right? But let's do it like this. Ja'at al-mu'minatu. Right? Ja'at al-mu'minatu. Who knows the i'rab of al-mu'minatu? Al-mu'minatu. Ja'at al-mu'minatu. What would you say, Ibrahim? Go ahead, do it. Marfu'. Ismun marfu'un. الضمة. وعلامة رفعه الضمة. The sign of it being marfu' is with a dhamma. Now let's change it to رأيت. رأيت المسلمات. Not muslimata. You might think it should be muslimata, following patterns. But this is a special rule for jam' mu'annath salim. That jam' mu'annath salim in the Mansoob case has a kasra. So جاءت المؤمنات and then رأيت المؤمنات. That's why you've seen in the Quran خلق السماوات والأرض. خلق السماوات والأرض. He created two things, السماوات and الأرض. Both are mansoob. One is jam' mu'annath salim, so it gets a kasra, السماوات والأرض. And ard is a ism mufrad, it just gets a regular fatha. خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق. He created the heavens and the earth in truth. جاءت المؤمنات رأيت المؤمنات. Who can make i'rab of المؤمنات? رأيت المؤمنات. Go ahead, Jibreel. اسم منسوب. علامة نصبه الكسرة. علامة نصبه الكسرة. Because it's jam' mu'annath salim, a special rule for jam' mu'annath salim. There's a reason why we were mentioning jam' taksir separate from jam' mu'annath salim and jam' mu'annath salim, because they're going to split up in the rules here, as you can see. The fourth sign, look what we have now. We have وَلِلنَّصْبِ خَمْسُ عَلَامَاتٍ الْفَتْحَةُ وَالْأَلِفُ وَالْكَسْرَةُ. Now we need a ya, وَالْيَاءُ. And the ya is a sign of something being mansoob. I'll give you our base sentence and you can guess where we're going to go from there. جاء رجلان. جاء رجلان. Who can do the i'rab of رجلان? Can you do it, Sultan? جاء رجلان. رجلان is an ism or a fi'l first? It's an ism. What's the case? It's marfu'a. Okay. جاء رجلان. So it's marfu'a. اسم مرفوع. Al-alif. Thank you. That was the alif. That's from lesson number what? 12. وأما الألف فتكون علامة للرفع في تثنية الأسماء خاصة. طيب. So then جاء رجلان. What happens when I see these two guys? رأيت رجلين. The noon is not the sign of case because the noon is in both places. It's رجلان, رجلين. So the noon never changed. It never shifted. Something else changed. That's going to be your sign. The thing that changes is your sign. So رجلين. So then what's the letter that represents the mansoob case here? Yeah. It's the ya here. In this case, the ya is masbuqa bi fatha. It has a fatha before it. It's not e, it's a. Rajulaini. Not rajulini, but rajulaini. Ra'aytu rajulaini. Ja'a rajulani. That's marfu'. Alamatu raf'ihi al-alif. Ra'aytu rajulaini. I saw two men. Rajulaini. Ismun mansoob. Alamatu nasbihi al-ya'u. Al-ya'u. Lastly, dear brothers, we have hadfun noon. Tfaddal. Be patient. That's not our question for today. We're on the doormat. Remember? You're standing on the doormat. I'm giving you one quick example. Is it only in Tathniyat al-Asma Khasa, or is it lots? That's all coming. Those are the lessons, one after the next, for the next 5 days. Not in the next 5 days, but the next 5 lessons, insha'Allah ta'ala. وَحَذْفُ النُّونِ. Now the last one, the 5th out of 5. The removal of the noon. The noon being removed. When it's marfu, it has a noon. When it's mansoob, the noon is missing. Anyone know what that might be? Based on our lessons in marfu'at, and what's marfu' and the alamat al-rafa'. When was the noon a sign for something being marfu'? So as to erase it to be a sign of mansoob. فعل مضارع فعل مضارع نعم فعل مضارع إذا اتصل به ضمير التثنية أو ضمير جمع أو ضمير المخاطبة المؤنثة. These are called the what? The أفعال خمسة. الأفعال الخمسة in the 5 verbs. So let's say we have a sentence like يجلسون, a group of men. يجلسون, they're sitting. يجلسون. Who can make i'rab of هم يجلسون? يجلسون. What's the i'rab of يجلسون? Go ahead, Ibrahim. فعل مضارع مرفوع. النون. Nice. وعلامة رفعه النون. يجلسون. Now let's put a harf in front of it that takes it away from the marfu' case. One that makes it mansoob. Len. Lam noon. Len. Put that in front of the verb and it makes it len, you shall not, or they shall not, yajlisuna. No, hadf noon. Yajlisu. Take the noon away. That connects directly to what we were talking about with the noon there in al-af'al al-khamsa and all the practice we did there. That's pretty much an easy one then, isn't it? That you just take away that noon. We've already practiced that a little bit. So then len yajlisu, if we know that this harf len, they shall not, it's a negation for the future. It's harfun nasib. It's a harf that makes a verb mansoob. Harf nasib means it makes something mansoob. It makes fi'l mudari' mansoob. So then the verb that comes next is a fi'l mudari' mansoob. Lan yajlisu. So yajlisu here is, what is it, Jibreel? Fi'l mudari' mansoob. وعلامة نصبه حذف النون, the removal of the noon. Allahumma barik. And we have successfully introduced the 5. You will likely have a lot of questions, but remember, this is the doormat lesson. We're just standing in the door frame right here, looking into the next 5 days. We will talk about each one of these signs of nasb in detail, insha'Allah ta'ala, over the next 5 lessons. So general questions about the idea of just approaching signs of mansoob. Tfaddal ya Hanif.
I was just going to ask, what was lan, harfu what?
Harfu nasbin. Len is harfu nasbin. Lam with a mim is harfu jazmin. Harfu jazm. I use the word nasib. I want to differentiate between the two. Len is harfu nasbin. It does the operation of nasb. You can also say it's harfun nasibun. It is a harf that does the nasb operation, so it's nasib. So lam with a mim is also harfu jazmin, or you can call it a jazim. It's the thing that makes something else majzoom. It's the jazim. You know, the fa'il from the jazm, and the maf'ul would be majzoom. Allah knows best. وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.